So this is the example. The directional volume is given, vehicles per hour. We have to find out the flow rate in passenger cars per hour per lane. It's a 6-lane freeway. Heavy vehicle truck adjustment factor is given. Heavy truck adjustment factor is given. So this is the factor directly. Okay, so you don't need to calculate the factor, and the peak hour factor is given. So the flow rate would be Vp, take the volume, divide by peak hour factor, and number of lanes and heavy vehicle adjustment factor. Okay, so all the values are given. You can give me the value of Vp directly, but before that, how many lanes should we take?
3 lanes.
3 lanes, yeah, because we are doing it for one direction. How much is Vp here?
1353.
1353, and the units will be
Passenger car per hour per lane.
passenger cars per hour per lane. Per lane, because you divide by number of lanes, passenger cars because you divide by FHV. Okay, and this will be now the flow rate. Okay, the maximum flow rate because you also divide by peak hour factor. Okay. Now, if anybody took the traffic engineering course before last semester, they would not know about this particular step or this particular procedure to find out the average speed. In the before last semester, we were saying that you have these curves, and from these curves, if you have the free flow speed which is equal to the speed of the curve given, then obviously you have the curve. And if the speed is not, if the free flow speed which you have calculated is not from these values, then you take the nearest one. Okay, so if your value was, let's say 71, you will take the curve for 70. But now in the new manual, they are saying you cannot do that. You cannot take the nearest value. You have to take the values which are exactly according to your free flow speed. Okay, so if your free flow speed is 71, you cannot use the curves. Okay, so obviously we have the curves. So if your values are in these ranges, go along the curve and you can find out the level of service. So let me explain the curves here. If your free flow speed is 55, exactly 60, 65, 70 or 75 exactly, okay, then you can use these curves to find out level of service. How? On the x-axis, you will find the flow rate in passenger cars per hour per lane, so Vp, which we just found. So you plot them on the x-axis, and then you take a line, a perpendicular line from your flow rate to the free flow speed which you have. Okay, so if your free flow speed is 60 and your flow rate is, let's say, 1200, you will drop a line from here, from 1200, okay, to the curve of 60. Okay, and where the line is intersecting, you have the level of service. Okay, if you want to find out the speed, so at this point, go to the y-axis, you will know the speed. Okay, so this is a very simple procedure, but again, the condition is that your free flow speed should be equal to the value of the free flow speed curve which is given. Okay, now if your value is not equal to these 5 values, then you will apply the equations, and these are the equations. Okay, so you can find out the speed. First of all, you have to find out the speed. If your free flow speed is not equal to these values, find out the free flow speed yourself. For free flow speed, we have 2 equations. Either you can use this one, free flow speed into speed adjustment factor, free flow speed into speed adjustment factor. SF stands for speed adjustment factor. Okay, I will show you the adjustment factors later on. And then we have, but this equation can be applied if your VP was less than equal to BP adjusted. What is BP adjusted? This is the equation for BP. BP stands for breakpoint. BP stands for breakpoint. What is the breakpoint? You can see in this curve, and I showed you in the previous lecture as well, that free flow speeds are maintained for a particular range of flow. In a particular range of flow, the speed of the highway does not go below the free flow value. So breakpoint is basically the maximum of that range, the maximum value of that range. Okay, so if you want to look at the curve, so the point where the speed does not go below the free flow value, this is the breakpoint. So you can see from this point onwards, the speed is going down. Okay, so this point becomes the breakpoint, the maximum flow at which the free flow speed is maintained. The maximum flow at which the free flow speed is maintained. So this is the breakpoint. So how to calculate the breakpoint? We have the equation here, 1040, 75. These are constants. FFS means free flow speed. SF means speed adjustment factor, and CF means capacity adjustment factor. So we are using both adjustment factors here, speed adjustment factors and capacity adjustment factors. Okay. So your first step should be to calculate the breakpoint. Then you check if your demand flow rate is equal to or less than breakpoint. Then the speed of the highway equals free flow speed into speed adjustment factor. Okay. If VP is less than or equal to breakpoint, then this is the case. If it is not, if VP is more than the breakpoint, which is this case, then the equation is this. You can see the same factors. C is the capacity. I showed you the equation for capacity. This is the base capacity. The base capacity. So I already showed you the equation in the previous lecture for capacities for multi-lane highways and freeways both. 45 is a constant. Okay. From where we are getting 45. 45 is basically the maximum density which you can have at level of service E. The maximum density which you can have at level of service E. So this is basically the density which you will achieve at capacity. The density which you will achieve at capacity, because level of service E means capacity. So 45 is that density. Okay. Just a small thing here, that equation is this one. Okay. VP is less than equal to BP is the condition. Okay. So this is not part of the equation. Same here. VP greater than BP is not part of the equation. Keep it in mind. So the remaining factors, you know, VP, BP, capacity adjustment factor, and these things. So once you find out the speed of the highway using one of these conditions, then you will find out the density and VP upon S. Once you so density equals flow upon speed, flow upon speed. So flow rate is VP and S is from here. You find out the density. Then you go to the table which I showed you for level of service and density. This one. Okay, so you find out the density and you see in which range your density is lying. Okay, so that will be your level of service. Then you will know the level of service. So since density, now I can tell you why these lines on this graph are showing the level of service. Okay, how can I say that this particular line is for the maximum limit of level of service A? Because this line represents a value of density. This line represents a value of density. Density is flow upon speed. Flow upon speed. And if you take the inverse of that, that will be the slope of this line. If you take the inverse of density, that will become the slope of this line, speed upon flow. Speed upon flow. Okay, so whatever density you have, you take its inverse, the maximum density for any level of service, you take its inverse, so it will become the slope of the line. Then from the origin, plot the line of that slope, and wherever the line is intersecting the curve or the flow rates, that will be the maximum flow rates for that level of service. Okay, so using these curves, they have already given the maximum values. Okay, so for a curve of 70, the maximum flow rate you can have is 2400. So the end of the curve, this value here, the end of the curve. Okay, so maximum flow rate for 70 miles per hour free flow speed is 2400 passenger cars per hour per lane, and the average speed at capacity, not the free flow speed, average speed at capacity, because at capacity your speed will reduce. So average speed at capacity is 53. So wherever the curve was ending at this value, you go to the y-axis and you find out the speed. Okay, so they are giving the extreme values. Extreme values where the curve is ending. So where the curve is ending, what is the x value and what is the y value? Okay, so this is the x value and this is the y value, and so on. Okay. Okay, we have a 4-lane freeway located in an urban area, restricted geometry, but we don't need to worry about the geometry right now because the free flow speed is already given. So they already gave the free flow speed. They calculated it, or they went into the field and they found the free flow speed themselves. Okay, we don't know. But the free flow speed is 70 miles per hour. We have 2000 vehicles per hour peak hour volume, one direction. It's in the PM peak. Okay, we have 6% trucks, and they are using the heavy mix, the default mix, 30-70, 30 for single unit and 70 for trailer trucks. This highway has a 2.5% gradient over 1.25 mile length. Peak hour factor 0.92, and we want to find out the level of service. Okay, so free flow speed is given. Okay, the second thing which we did was find out the capacity. Okay, now let me do something. I'm doing for the other course as well. So I'm hoping this will be useful for you as well. Level of service. So I will be solving it in the notebook. Okay, so the benefit will be it will be saved with you. Okay, so we need the capacity. So for capacity we have, now it's a freeway. So for freeway segment we will use the first equation for capacity. Okay, so the free flow speed is 70. Free flow speed is given as 70. Give me the capacity. We can do it directly here. Around the value there. So 2200 plus 10 into 70 minus 50. How much?
2,400.
2400. Okay, so the capacity is 2400 passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay, then the next thing was finding out the VP. Okay, so VP is V divided by peak hour factor into number of lanes into FHV. So now the trucks are given and the gradient is given, so I will find out now. Okay, I found out the FHV. So FHV equals this value. Okay, percentage of trucks 2.5. Okay, and so PT is 2.5, and for ET I'll go to this table which is for heavy mix. Okay, the gradient is 6%. How much? 2.5%. Sorry, so this value 2.5%. So 2.5%, and the length is 1.25. So this value. Okay, percentage of trucks 6%. 6%. So 1.25 mile length, 2.5% gradient, and 6% truck. So I will go in this direction and I will look at it here. So you can see 3.36. 3.36. So ET is 0.36. Okay, so FHV was 1 divided by 1 plus PT E minus 1. Yes, go ahead. Give me the value of FHV. We have 6% trucks and ET is 3.36.
Point 876.
0.89. Okay. Now you can calculate VP then, right? So the volume is given 2000.
Doctor,
Yeah,
how is it 0.89?
you told me. I don't know.
I said 0.876.
0.876. Okay.
Yeah.
So how much is VP?
Two four seven zero.
70 passenger cars per hour per lane. 2470, right? Sure.
I think, what is the number of lanes again?
Number of lanes in one direction. It's a 4-lane freeway,
Oh, okay.
so it will be 2, right?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 5.
1, 2, 3, 5. Okay. Now since the free flow speed is 70 exactly, so I can use the curves which are given. Okay, these curves. So 1, 2, 3, 5 means you are looking something here. Looking at something here. Okay. It's almost in the middle. Okay. So if you go like this, so 1, 2, 3, 5 is almost in the middle because 1250 will be the middle of these two, right? So it's almost in the middle. You go up from here to the curve of 70. Okay, so you are at level of service B. Okay, right at level of service B, right at the edge of level of service B. Okay, so if you can find out the middle exactly here, then maybe you can plot a better line and you would know whether you're at level of service B or C. Okay, but in this case I can use a curve. Okay, so it's better if you can just plot 2 1 2 3 5 here and then find out make a straight line because I don't know if my line is straight or not. Okay, so make a straight line and then you can find out the level of service B. It looks like you will be in level of service B here, but maybe if you plot the line more accurately you may be getting level of service C. Okay, so you can see another problem with this approach of using the graph, that you cannot be sure uh, you know you are doing approximations here, right? Approximation about the position of the flow rate and then where you are meeting the curve. But if you are doing it manually using these equations, then you will be getting the exact values. Okay. Okay, then we talked about the adjustment factors, right? The adjustment factors. So we will look at the adjustment factors for weather, incidents, and work zones. Weather, incidents, and work zone. Each of them have an adjustment factor. So you can see these are the adjustment factors for weather. Adjustment factor for speed and adjustment factor for capacity. Okay, so these are the values. These are the conditions, different weather conditions, and these are the you can say the definition of these conditions in terms of numbers. Okay, so what does it mean? Medium rain, what does it mean? So if the rain is between this range, then it's medium. If it is more than 0.25 inch per hour, it is heavy, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have rain conditions here, we have snow conditions here. Okay, and we have so snow low to medium, medium to high, heavy snow, severe cold. So with or without snow doesn't matter. Severe cold, which is less than 4 degree Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit. Sorry, low visibility. So low visibility is when you cannot see more than 1 mile. You cannot see up to 1 mile in front of you. That is low visibility, and very low visibility is if you cannot even see half a mile. Okay, or if you cannot see even quarter mile, then this is minimum visibility. Obviously, if none of these conditions exist, then the weather is non-severe, and then the factors become 1. So this is the base conditions, right? When the factor becomes 1, this is the base condition. So whenever the adjustment factors become 1, that means you are reaching the base condition. So at base condition, the factors become 1, not 0. Okay, keep it in mind. Then these are for work zones. This is the calculation for work zone basically. So first of all, now you can do the calculation, complete calculation. Okay, or they have given the values directly here. So the Q discharge rate from the work zone, is given here, and then you use it to calculate the adjustment factor. Okay, so for calculating Q discharge rate, you need this lane closure severity index. Okay, so lane closure severity index calculated like this: 1 upon OR into number of lanes. OR means the number of lanes which were open divided by, number of lanes which are open with work zone divided by the actual number of lanes. Okay, so you had 3 lanes, and because of work zone, 2 lanes are open. So open ratio will be 2 upon 3. Okay, if you had 3 lanes and 1 lane is open, so open ratio will be 1 upon 3. Okay, and N naught is the original number of lanes. Open number of lanes. Open number of lanes. Okay, and then we have the other factors: FBR, FA, F for lateral clearance. Okay, and FDN is for day and night. Okay, so from here, basically this is these are the values for FLCSI. Okay, because it only depends upon N naught and open ratio. So these are the values for FLCSI. Okay, and then for the other factors, the values are given from here. Okay, so FBR, if you have a concrete barrier for the work zone, then the factor will be 0. For any other barrier, the factor is 1. FA, urban area 0, rural area 1. Lateral clearance, if it is if it is 12 feet, then the factor will be 1. Otherwise, whatever the lateral clearance is, you will put it over here. Okay, and day and night, for day it is 0, for night it is 1. Okay, so this is an example of the lane closure and the openness ratio. Okay, so in the first example, you see a 5-lane section, so 2 lanes are open and the other lanes are closed, and you see concrete barriers over here. Okay, and this is again 2 lanes, so it's a 3-lane section, so we have 2 lanes, and the work is done for the third lane over here. Okay. So how do you find out the adjustment factor for the work zone? Now work zone adjustment factor is only for capacity. Oh, sorry, it is for both of them. Sorry, we have another factor which is incident. Sorry, incident adjustment factor is only for capacity. Okay, so we'll come to it. So once you find out the QDR from the last equation, once you find out the QDR, the Q discharge rate for the work zone, then you can find out the capacity adjustment factor using this equation. So QDR divided by 0.64 into the base capacity, the capacity which you already calculated. Okay, and if you want to find out the speed adjustment factor, then these are this is the equation. Okay, so FSR means the ratio of the speed limit in the work zone area, and the speed limit in the non-work zone area. So if the speed limit is not changed because of the work zone, this ratio will become 1. This ratio will become 1. Okay, this is the speed limit in the work zone. Okay, so you directly put the value of the speed limit here. This is FLCSI, which we already explained in the previous example. Okay, factor for barrier. So again, concrete barrier 0, all barriers, all other barriers, it will be 1. FDN, doing it for daytime, it will be 0. For nighttime, it will be 1. And FNR is the number of frames you have. The number of frames you have. So we directly put the value of the number of frames here. Okay, and so this is the free flow speed in the work zone. The free flow speed in the work zone. And then if you want to calculate the adjustment factor, then it will be the ratio of this over the base free flow speed, the free flow speed which we have calculated. Okay, so this is the free flow speed for the work zone, and if you want to calculate the speed adjustment factor for the work zone, I think they forgot to write the equation. I forgot to put the equation here. It will be free flow speed in the work zone and the free flow speed which you normally have. So you calculate the normal free flow speed, okay, from the equation or get it from the field, and then the speed adjustment factor will be the ratio of free flow speed of the work zone divided by the free flow speed, the normal one. Okay. Now let us look at an example in which level of service concept is used for design. So we have a new urban freeway designed for level terrain. The heavy vehicle adjustment factor FHV is given directly. Peak hour factor is given. Free flow speed estimated to be 65 miles per hour. The freeway needs to accommodate 4,000 vehicles per hour during the peak hour in one direction. How many lanes are needed to provide level of service D during the peak hour, and how many lanes will be needed to provide level of service C? Okay, so we have to calculate number of lanes that can be sufficient for D and that can be sufficient for C as well. Okay, so first of all, I have the V value here. Okay, now earlier in the traffic engineering course, we were using an equation where N was calculated directly if you put the value of the maximum service flow rate from the curve to the equation, then you can calculate the value of N directly. Okay, but here in this book they are not going into the matter of finding out the maximum service flow rate for each level of service. Okay, they are saying we will try. Okay, so we already know. Let me again go to the notebook, take this one. Over here. Okay, so they are saying we will do trial and error instead of finding out the maximum service flow rate, because it makes sense, because you don't have all the curves, right? Maximum service flow rate can be found from the curves. Since you don't have all the curves, and if your free flow speed was, let's say, 61 or 62, then obviously then you have to plot your own curve. So why should we go through all that trouble? Why don't we do trial and error? Okay, so this is what they are saying. So we have the equation for VP, this equation. Okay, so in this equation, PHF is given, N we don't know, and FHV is given, right? V is also given. Okay. FHV is given, level terrain, no level terrain doesn't matter, right? FHV is given. If FHV was not given, then we could have found FHV. Anyways, so what they are saying is we will assume, for example, if you give two lanes, okay, then how much will be VP? Okay, so VP at 2 lanes. Okay, so give me the value of VP at 2 for 2 lanes. V is 4000 and FHV and PHF are given, and we are assuming 2 lanes then.
2443.
2443 passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay. Now 2443 is a very high value. 2443 is a very high value. If you look at the capacity equations, the capacities are, the maximum capacity you can get is 2400. The maximum capacity you can get is 2400. I showed you a table, I think, in the last topic, where the capacity of different facilities were given. I showed you, I remember, I don't know exactly in where, but I showed you a table. For the freeway, the maximum capacity was 2400. Okay, now you are getting a value 2443. So that means the level of service is what?
F.
Okay, so here I don't need to see what level of service I'm getting. I don't need to see the curve or anything. I already know this is level of service F. So 2 lanes will not solve the problem. Okay, I must go for higher number of lanes. Okay, give it to me for 3 lanes.
1629.
1629 passenger cars per hour. Now, how much level of service we are getting for that? Okay, so now you see the free flow speed is 65. So I can go and directly apply the graph. Okay, again, because 65 is there. So you are saying the value is 1629. So 1629 will be somewhere here. Or I can plot a line. Good. So 1629 will be somewhere here. Okay, not exactly in the middle, somewhere close to the middle. And free flow speed 65. So I will again come to this point. Now I went to 70. Okay, so level of service D can be achieved. Level of service D can be achieved if you have 2 lanes. Okay, so with 2 lanes I can achieve level of service D. Then so you can say for level of service D 3 lanes are enough. 3 lanes are enough. 2 lanes for level of service F. So 3 lanes are enough for level of service D. Then can I get level of service C if I give 4 lanes? Because I told you earlier, level of service is a step function. Okay, so it is not necessary that you increase the number of lanes by 1 and you increase the level of service by 1 as well. It is not necessary. Okay, so we need to check. Okay, without checking, maybe we achieve level of service C, or maybe we achieve better than that, or maybe we achieve still level of service D. Okay, so tell me.
1221.
So in that condition, 1221, I'm here, right? So in that condition, if I go up from here, then I'm achieving level of service C. Okay, so job done. Okay, we need 3 lanes for level of service D, and we need 4 lanes for level of service C. And if you provide 2 lanes, then you will have level of service F. Okay, a couple of points here. Why did I start from 2 lanes? Why didn't I start from 1 lane? Should I have started from 1 lane? For example, if the flow was less, maybe I could have achieved level of service D or C and even at 1 lane as well. Okay, so should I check or should I start checking? In this case, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to give you a concept. Should I start checking number of lanes from 1 lane, starting from 1 lane? Should I do that?
No, doctor, because it is a freeway, I think.
It is a freeway, yeah. You cannot have 1 lane. Okay. And then the second point is, when you say 3 lanes, how many lanes you have in the freeway?
6 lanes.
6 lane freeway. Yeah, it's a 6 lane freeway. So when you said 4 lanes, we meant 8 lane freeway. Okay, and when you said 2 lanes, we meant 4 lane freeway. And so this is why we cannot have 1 lane, because that will make it 2 lane highway. 2 lane highways are not freeways. Then highways are not freeways. Okay, and we are not discussing 2 lane highways in this discussion. So you cannot start from 1, and whatever number of lanes you get in the end, you know, make it double. Okay, now we can start the discussion about vehicles. So this is what you have done, freeways. You have already done freeways in traffic engineering course as well, but this is something new, and this is also part of freeways, merging and diverging segments. So I already explained in the previous lecture, merging and diverging means what? Merging happens where does the merging happen? You can see it in the figure as well. The figure is given here. So where is the merging happening?
Entering the highway.
When you are entering the highway from a ramp. And where does the diverging happen?
Exiting from ramp.
Yeah, when you are exiting the highway from the ramp. Okay, so wherever you have an on-ramp is used for entering. So that will be the merging segment. And wherever you have the off-ramp, okay, that is the diverging segment. Okay, so vehicles enter and exit from the ramps, and they cause more turbulence when they are trying to enter or leave. Okay, so merging and diverging segment are within the influence of the ramp, the segment which is within the influence of the ramp. So if it is an on-ramp, then 1500 feet in front of that ramp is the merging segment. 1500 feet from the start of the ramp onwards is the merging segment. And if it's an off ramp, then obviously turbulence will be caused before the ramp, because the drivers will be trying to leave trying to change the lanes before they reach the ramp, right? So that will be the diverging segment, will be the upstream segment from the edge of the ramp, 1500 feet. 1500 feet upstream segment from the edge of the ramp. And the edge of the ramp is what they call as the gore point. Okay, I was saying edge of the ramp so that you know what I'm talking about, but in technical terms they are called as the gore point. So gore point, you can see the last point of the ramp, which is touching the edge of the corner of the ramp, the last corner of the ramp. So this is the goal point for the diverging, okay, the last corner of the ramp, and this is the goal point for the on ramp, okay, again the last corner, because then you are going up downstream, you're going in this direction, right? So you start from here, the extreme corner, and when you are going upstream, then again you start from here, which is the extreme corner. Okay, so in both cases you will start from a corner so that the width of the ramp is included in the segment. The width of the ramp should be included in the segment. Okay, so you start measuring from here. So the length of the segment is fixed here, 1500 feet in both cases, merge and diverge. In both cases, the length of the ramp is 1500 feet. Okay, we know that. So again, you have the procedure here. The procedure is very much the same. Find out, gather the data, adjust demand volume. Okay, then an extra step here, which is to find out the demand volume in these two lanes, lane 1 and lane 2, which is near the ramp. The first two immediate lanes near the ramps. Okay, this is what they are calling as lane 1 and lane 2. Okay, so they are saying turbulence mainly happens in downstream segment if it is an on ramp, and upstream segment if it is an off ramp, and it happens in the two immediate lanes to the ramp. So if the freeway has 4 lanes, then 2 lanes means the complete segment, right? 4-lane freeway means 2 lanes in each direction. So 2 lanes means it's the complete direction, the complete segment. If it's a 6-lane or 8-lane freeway, then you will have 2 lanes which are immediate to the ramp, and then you will have extra lanes toward the left hand side. So they are saying the flow in those lanes, which are in addition to the 2 lanes, will not be affected by the ramp. It will not be affected by the ramp. So that's why we need to calculate the flow in these 2 lanes separately from the other lanes. If there are any other lanes, then the flow in the immediate 2 lanes should be calculated separately. Then calculate the capacity of the merge or diverge area, okay, and compare with the demand flows, okay. And then if they are less than the demand flow, if they are more than the demand flow, sorry, if the capacity is less than the demand flow, then the level of service is F. Otherwise, find out the density and level of service in the same way that we did for freeways, okay. And the last step is find out the speed and aggregate densities. So you have a number of segments. So this step we will cover in the end. Not even in this analysis. So this analysis will stop here, finding out the level of service. Okay. The last step we will see at the end. Okay. Let me look at the time. What we have to do here. So you already know this step, right? You already know this step. Okay. So this is the flow rate on the freeway. Okay. So V divided by peak hour factor divided by FHV. Okay. So it's passenger cars per hour. And I told you. So this is the flow which is going from the freeway. So people who are not using the ramp, they are on the freeway and they are going ahead. Or people who are on the freeway. That's it. People who are on the freeway. Total. Some of them will use the ramp, some of them will not use the ramp. Okay. Total flow on the freeway. Okay. Total flow on the freeway. Then we have these 2 equations which are for calculating number of vehicles out of the freeway flow rate. How many vehicles will be, or how many passenger cars will be in the immediate 2 lanes? So I told you, if you have only if you have only 2 lanes, okay, then then you only have to take care of the people who are going out of the ramp. If you have only 2 lanes, then you have to only take care of the people who are going out of the ramp. Okay. So if it's a merge area, so people are coming in from the ramp. Then the freeway flow will be the proportion of freeway vehicles expected in lane 1 and lane 2 of the merge area. Okay, so VF multiplied by the proportion, and we will look at the equations how to find out the value of PFM and PFD. So basically we are trying to find out the number of vehicles, number of passenger cars in the immediate 2 lanes of the ramp, and these are the 2 equations. The first equation will be used for merging and the second equation will be used for diverging. VR means the flow which is going to the ramp, okay. VF means the freeway flow, we already know that, okay, the flow rate on the freeway. And so for the merging part, everybody is on the freeway, right? See here, the people who are coming from the ramp and the people who are already on the freeway, all of them are on the freeway. But for the diverging part, some of them will go to the ramp, so some of them will be going out of my segment, okay, out of these lanes, okay. So that's why we are subtracting the flow of the ramp here, okay. So total freeway flow rate, and then you subtract the flow of the ramp, and then you are multiplying with the proportion of vehicles which are diverging. So for PFM means proportion of vehicles which are merging, and PFD means proportion of vehicles which are diverging. So we will look at how to calculate these values in the next class, okay. And remember, Sunday I will be having a short 5 minutes quiz before the class like we did last time, okay. So let me get my mobile, I will take the attendance.